Transformation in 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, welcome in, welcome in. Woof. The snakes have been coming through. Look at that fire. That's Bridget. Goddess of the fire. Represented by the snake. The wisdom, the creativity, close to the underworld, to the gods, to the spirit. Sheds its skin. Transformation. So this has been coming up a lot lately. And yesterday I watched this whole documentary, which a lot of it I already knew, but it was wonderful to see it put so perfectly and concisely. It was like an hour and a half about Adam and Eve and where that story actually came from. And all of our stories, as we know, are older than we perceive them to be. They're always like the transformation, just like the snake, the transformation of the story, right? And that happens within ourselves too. And so I looked up in the Celtic Healing Oracle about snakes, and of course the first one is Bridget and the Snake Goddess, and it talks about transformation, and it's the inspiring transformative measure, right? Creativity, childbirth, internal knowing, right? And it's the feminine side, and in the I'm thinking like Sophia keeps coming up, right? In the Gnostic faith or line of faith, Sophia is a goddess of wisdom. And so we have these feminine aspects that are representing the wisdom, because wisdom is internal knowing. We all have these aspects, right? We all have feminine and masculine, right? And we all have the ability to transform. But then it got even more interesting because I continue to look through this deck and we get the rammed horn snake shape-shifting, right? Shape-shifting. So it's like this rammed horn snake. See how its head and it looks like the ram, like Aries, which, go back to the last reading we did, represents the self, right? The transformation of the self through the feminine aspects. See how that works? Then there was one more card, and it's actually the very next card after that one, which is the banishing of the snakes, loss and replenishment of hope. And then that goes into the story of St. Patrick, who chased the snakes out of Ireland, and the snakes that he chased out of Ireland were actually the pagan snakes, right? The pagan wisdom, the transformation, the connection to the natural elements, to the earth, to the underworld, right? And he took Catholicism in there, and I got a lot of stuff on St. Patrick. I've written a lot on St. Patrick because I have, here's the deal, is that just like the documentary on it's the pagan roots of Adam and Eve. I'm sorry if I offend anybody. That is not my intention. My intention is to educate. My intention is to open portals. My intention is to get us back to that, I'm hearing ephemeral, ethereal, right, space that it is to be human. Where did we come from? Where did these stories come from? And so if we lock ourselves in, here we go, take this as a metaphor, take it how it resonates. If we lock ourselves into an idea of this is like a firm, restricted idea as to where a story, where a thought, where a notion, where something came from, right? If we strip it away from its natural self, then we are disconnecting it from its natural self, right? We're removing that connection. And so those snakes represent our connection. Think currents, right? Think chi, think prana, think electromagnetic waves, right? Think all of those types of moving currents. Those are the snakes, right? One time in the 11th century, there was a huge solar storm, and it was described by the people who saw it in Kent, which is in southern UK, right? They saw these big electrical currents going through the skies, and they thought that there were snakes in the sky, these electrical snakes. So it would be very it would make sense if St. Patrick was chasing the electromagnetic currents, the connection to the lifeblood of the world, to the universe, right? And severing that connection between the people there who were holding on to it, who were deeply entrenched in it, who knew it well, right? And to take that away from them and turn the snake into a form of evil, right? Something that is deceptive. And that's the thing too, because there's the shape-shifting element. So there is something that can be confusing about things, right? And that's why we have to turn inward and look at our internal knowing, right? And is it really good to banish the snakes, right? Is it really something to be afraid of, in that sense? Like, I mean, for me, no, absolutely not. I am a, and again, I don't mean to offend anybody, but I'm a happy heathen pagan. And so to me, the snakes are beautiful. And on St. Patrick's Day, we wear snakes to represent those we lost, right? And that the wisdom lost. So there is an honoring here to maybe something that was lost in you, something that is sacred within you that maybe got taken away by a thought process, by, I'm hearing mechanical underpinnings, right? So there's like this idea of like, this is how it's supposed to work, or this is like the functionality of the society, the culture, the ideas in which we live, but it's contrary to our natural selves, right? And there's like this conflict in there. And even this lady at the doctor, and she was just checking my kids in at the doctor's office yesterday, and she was talking about this like disconnection from our natural selves, and no wonder, people are in the state that they're in, and I just thought that was so like, wow, powerful, coming from like this random person, like signing us in for like 5 minutes. I mean, it just like is such a deep thing to say, but look, two of chalices coming out, there are kindred spirits all over, and you make connections with those people. Universe talks to you through those people, those times of transformation. Maybe something I said rang with her. Maybe something one of my children said, like, who knows what it was? Maybe it was a thought that she'd been carrying around all day, and she knew that she could say it to us. Like there is that availability. There are those connections, and we don't necessarily need to seek them out. We just need to be like open to them presenting themselves, just like the wisdom of the internal self, right? When it's presented to us, we know, and there's this transformation happening. And then we have Two of Pentacles, 2-2. And this talks about, see, like they're having a nice dinner, and this one is baking. It's like getting that preparation, making sure everything is in balance, making sure you are in balance. Maybe you're meeting up with somebody today, a like-minded soul, a kindred spirit, right? Mixing those things together, trying to keep things balanced. What else is happening here? We got the Knight of Chalices, taking action from the heart space. Right? Really loving what you're doing. Maybe even like really loving the person you're connecting with, right? Could be on any level. It could be, romantic. It could be friendship. It could be, familial. It could be something in business, whatever it is. It's like there is this, true kindred spirit. And it could be too, there's like this idea, because one of the things that it says in the Bridget reading in the Celtic healing oracle is about, and the snake and the confusion is not letting yourself convince yourself that, of what your needs are. Don't be confused about what your needs are, in relation to someone else's. So let me clarify that. If someone else needs something and you're happy to accommodate them, but it leaves you lacking after so long, then you might be confusing what you need, which is to be like, I want to say like a patient, loving person, right? But you still need to address your own needs, which might be like, like contribution back to you, or somebody else taking consideration of your point of view. And in this type of a scenario, that's balanced, right? It's like the mixing of the two things together. And then we get the High Priestess in the reverse. Things are being revealed. Things are coming out. You guys, 2-2-2. High Priestess rules the two. And it could be, that you're sharing something, or somebody's sharing something with you. Again, there's like this action being taken that is transformative. Maybe you weren't able to follow your intuition. Maybe there were things that you didn't know, but it's coming to light, maybe through conversation or just through that experience, right? Like the lady at the teller didn't have to say a whole lot to me to really make me think. Things that have been showing themselves in the daily, right, synchronicities that have been happening. They are really opening up some portal within me and showing me the way or leading me on this trail, and I've been following it, and it's really been eye-opening. So this could be something that's going on for you as well. So pay attention to that, because things are being revealed, and some things might be being revealed that would like to stay hidden, but unintentionally on their part have shown themselves, and that's okay. That's really okay, because we have the wheel coming out. The wheel. Luck is turning. Things are changing, right? Like luck is on the up and up. Things are expanding. What this does is it expands your world. It expands your horizon. It gives you something to, yes, look forward to work for, but it's because you've earned it and because you've stayed centered in yourself, right? Because you didn't let, I would say, the snakes be driven out of you. Right. But maybe you did at some point. I mean, we all did this. That's what the point of the thing is. It's why they celebrate this occurrence in history. Right. Even though it was actually quite detrimental to the longevity of humanity in the long run. And something like we lost a lot of wisdom. We lost our connection because some other system said that was what was important. And we're learning that that's slowly but surely. There's the great awakening, all the woke people, whatever that means to you. I just think it's awareness. I think it's like self-awareness, and part of yourself is your natural self, and we're coming into contact with ourselves, and in that we're coming into contact with others who are also in contact with themselves, and it expands. Just like this Jovian energy, right? It just expands, and it's the wheel. So it's the 4 fixed signs. So as that circle is, when we talk about like this, the circle is the center and the circumference. The center always stays the same. That's you. We'll go to this. We'll do the one on my thumb. See this the circle. You are always at the center. The center of the center of your world. Right? The center of the earth, it's the center of the circle, but then that is the perimeter, the circumference. And it is always directly connected to the center, but it expands out. Those are the 4 quadrants. Those are the 4 fixed signs, the spokes on the wheel. And they don't shift as the wheel expands. They just grow out, right? We just grow up. We get bigger. We expand our form, right? But we stay fixed within ourselves. And that's kind of what this is talking about. It's like being true to you. Is bringing expansion and friendships, right? Connections. And the last one is this 5 of Swords. So be careful of being competitive, right? There's like this aspect of like this competitive nature. I'm hearing this isn't a game to win, right? This isn't about being on top of others. This is about turning that wheel around. There's this aspect of like somebody coming out on top and other people having to be left out. And that feels really yucky in comparison to the rest of the energies that are out here, right? Remember that when we, and this can happen. Okay, so we'll get into that. Thank you, Spirit. So I'm feeling this like burning sensation in my gut right now. When we get into relationships with others, maybe that old toxic form told us that and maybe we have some competitiveness inside of ourselves, especially when it comes to business, right? Especially when it comes to our careers or our talents, or maybe even some of our hobbies that maybe you play sports, competitively, or just like on a beer league, there's this aspect of like healthy competition and winning. Like we get in these situations in our relationships. Maybe somebody is doing something and they're succeeding at it, right? And then they notice their friend is giving them the stink eye. Why? You know what I mean? Because the friend is, feeling insecure. It suddenly disrupted the dynamic between those two people. Is this person going to change? Is this person going to leave me? They just took this big position. They just won this big thing. They just up leveled, and I'm still over here, how did they get it? Like whatever million things go through our heads, right? Go through people's heads when another is elevated, or when we are elevated. And when we're elevated and we're looking around and we're realizing that all of the people that we thought loved us have a sour look on their face, we wonder if they liked us better when we were less successful, when they had the upper hand, or when there was this other element. Like all that is sick, all that is toxic. That's not helping anybody. here. This new, like that transformation, slough that off, shed that skin, right? Everybody can do well. Everybody can be where they are and do a little bit better than where they were before. And it's fantastic. It's wonderful. It doesn't make the people next to them less. It doesn't make me less if my friend succeeds. It doesn't make me less if my kid outshines me, or if anybody else does for that matter. It doesn't make me less because I know my worth. Right. And I'm happy to celebrate people around me who are doing really good. The only time I get a little bent is when somebody doesn't, like when somebody got something and maybe they did it by shady means, or there was some kind of corruption or nepotism or something like that. Sometimes that bothers me and I might get like, but it isn't to take away from the person's accomplishment. It's to say that it wasn't a level playing field. And so that some people didn't get a fair shot. That's the part that bothers me. Right. So there's this element of changing our perceptions within ourselves about our dynamics with creativity, our dynamics with our inner wisdom, what is expected from us and where are we going. And what's on the bottom here is the Queen of Pentacles, and she's in the reverse. Mm-hmm. And again, there's this thought about competition, and like maybe this is all coming out or coming through or coming from an energy. Here's in the upright, but it's in the reverse. Of a lack mindset, of not having enough, of the thought of not having enough, but you might actually, just hasn't gotten to you yet. Or you don't have enough because the universe is trying to deplete the resource so that a different avenue is taken, right? What is that like? There's this, I can't remember the saying offhand, but it's like, like need is the necessity is the mother, the necessity is the mother of creativity, right? Because we, if we're at limited resources and we have to look around and figure out what it is that we need and how we can do something, we're going to be a lot more creative with it than if we have like an overabundance of money and there's a problem, we can just call and buy one on the internet, Something about that here. What is this, Spirit? Tell us about this synergy. So this is the as above, so below deck. So this is the below, this that we just used. That's the ground deck. This is the as above. I go in really intuitive with these, okay? Spirit, ancestors, guides. What is this about? We're talking about like getting together with a friend and mixing ideas together. What is that about? Guys, it's the Queen of Pentacles in the reverse again. Talk about as above, so below. Be careful with somebody who's like overly money driven, overly material based. Be careful with that. Somebody's pushing too hard or not putting in enough or is lazy, or sometimes the Queen of Pentacles in the reverse can be like greedy and the kind of energy that takes more than what it gives. All right, this is coming through twice. And on the bottom here, we have Six of Fire. It is Jupiter. Wait, no, sorry. Kronos, that's Saturn. The restrictions. Wow. The rules in place. And it's victory. Victory by following the rules in place. So, what rules are we talking about here? Are we talking about the rules like St. Patrick's rules that he came and implemented? Or are we talking about the natural law that was already there that the snakes represent? The natural currents and the natural law, right? We follow, somebody following the wrong rules or trying to enforce the wrong ideas, methodology for something. No, baby girl, no, not today. Because I got a lot of things going on there. I have like a wide coffee cup and she likes to drink coffee. And coffee's not for cats. We talked about this. I know. So there is a lot of success here for following the natural currents and being accountable, because that's something else that this kind of energy, the Queen of Pentacles energy, is not, doesn't take responsibility, blames everybody else, will not take accountability, leaves, like this is a very stubborn in all the wrong ways kind of energy. And so by following the natural law of things, there is success here. And that could be like the again, the skin you're shedding here. Yeah, a ton of air in the reverse. Letting go of all that. All right, Spirit. So tell us then about this. I'm going to put her over here by this Five of Swords in the upright, because I just want to keep that energy away from this beautiful, loving, kind energy over here. Tell us about this loving, beautiful, kind energy that the Spirit, that's the one we would like to focus on, concentrate, action we would like to take towards that. How can we utilize this energy? Wow. Okay, so here we go again. These are the double cards. Okay, Five of Air again, and look at that. The paths that we take to get there. The personalities that we are. The things within ourselves, right? And how those intersections happen. So how does your head intersect with your heart? And how does that direct your path? Well, that's what the Chariot card is all about. We have the Eight of Cups here in the reverse. The Eight of Water in the reverse is like not losing emotional sight of it, right? Not abandoning yourself and your emotional needs. Two of Cups. And knowing what it is you need from the other, and knowing what the other needs from you, and mutually balancing those things out, rather than just saying, this isn't working, I'm leaving. And that's really changing a lot of the dynamic here. A lot of the dynamic. I'm hearing upper hand. Keeping the upper hand in the situation by keeping control of yourself. Right. Tell me about this wheel. Spirit, tell me about this wheel. It's transformation in the reverse. One of fire in the reverse. We just talked about the Chariot. Guys, this is number 7. Chariot, I gotta make sure that it's YouTube friendly. It is. She has a sash covering her. Okay. This is, again, having the head and the heart on the same page in the reverse. Stuck in the mud. Stuck in the mud. Right. And what does it do? It drains your inspiration. Ace of Fire in the reverse. It drains your inspiration in the fire. So this is the wheel is turning out of that space. Again, we have Bridget, the goddess of fire. How about this High Priestess in the reverse, Spirit? Ooh, was that it? No? High Priestess in the reverse, Spirit. What is that? Six of Air. This is Ten of Fire. This is letting go of the burdens. Right? These are like all the constellations being held in the sky. And a lot of times in the myths, something would happen within the story, and it was either like a punishment or a reward, or depending on the thing, but they would get turned into stars, and they would get stuck up there, and they're like holding up the sky, like Atlas, like holding up the sky. This is about letting go of all those burdens, and it's another 10 completion, which was actually yesterday from the day I'm recording this. So there might be some significance in that for you. Six of Air in the upright, changing focus, changing mind, again, changing our point of view, how we're looking at something, how we're seeing it, and what did we learn from it? What were the messages that we got from that when we really studied the issue, when we really studied the situation, when we looked into our hearts? And I'm not talking about just, getting spying or something like that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm like taking that internal inventory, really examining it, writing, maybe looking at it, communicating. What is it? What is different here about me, about this, about you, about the thing, about all of it? That's what you're asking yourself. Because this looks different, this feels different, and it's much more natural. And it's like everybody else that's having the same experience is like bumping into each other, and we're experiencing these little synchronicities that are confirmation, reinforcement, and support. Okay? And it's helping you keep your focus, when you see these things. And again, like be mindful and be a little bit apprehensive of anyone who is trying to compete with you or trying to focus too much on the monetary sense of things, because it's very much a disconnection from the spiritual plane, right? And that's for them to figure out, not for you. It's just for being mindful of it so that you don't, enmesh too much in that kind of a thing that might hold you back, right? Keeping yourself connected to your kindred spirits, keeping yourself connected to your spirit. Does it say here, wow, make the sacrifice? Isn't that a strange card? Look at that card. There's things that we have to let go of, and it could be an old mindset. It could be old friendships. It could be our outer skin. Something has to be exchanged. Something has to be let go of to make room for the new, right? You have to get rid of that old skin. You just don't fit in it anymore. It's not big enough for you. And you're like, too big for your britches? Yeah. But not in a cocky, weird kind of way. In like a, yeah, I've outgrown that. I don't do that anymore. Making the sacrifices necessary, whether it be ego based, whether it be material based, whether it be, spiritual, whether it be emotional, whatever that is, like letting go of that thing so that there is, I'm hearing enough room in your mind, body, soul, and spirit. Enough room. And when I say your body, I mean like we go back to the physical working out. Oh, we should do those. I thought about that. Go back to the like where are we storing these stressful things. We'll get a somatic healing card, but I also have the Yggdrasil out because I wanted to pull up one of the goddesses and see who on Yggdrasil or where, what could be a benefit, who's helping us. What do we need to do? Spirit, we made the sacrifice, then what? Time to ground. Belly on the ground, like the snake, close touch to the underworld. What's actually happening? That wisdom, getting in touch with your spirit. Your spine. Your spine is important. Watch your posture. I'm terrible with that. Right? There's something to that. It's time to get grounded. And see, it's a reflection. It's a turtle. See that? It's the turtle and then the two birds. Can you see it that way? There we go. That's better. And it's like inside of this tree. And we just talked about Yggdrasil. And it's like turtles all the way down. Like it's a turtle stacked on a turtle, stacked on a turtle, stacked on a turtle. And that's what the universe is. Slow and steady wins the race. And what do these do? This is a sea turtle. What do? If you've seen Finding Nemo, they hop into that current and they let that current flow and take them through. Right. And there's even these birds. Like everybody's got to get grounded sometime. I'm hearing by air, by land, or sea. We have one more, spirit. What happens when we get grounded? Know your power. How gorgeous is that? The stallion. Wild stallions. Yeah, something is definitely afoot at the Circle K, right? There's this idea of once we are grounded, and and I'm hearing I'm hearing the horse move. Thinking of Dogberry and What You Do About Nothing, when it was Michael Keaton and the guy was following behind him with these coconuts and they were pretending to ride on the horse and they're like, and the guy's behind him going with the coconuts behind him. Because it's so funny because Dogberry, even though I don't know if you guys are into that kind of a thing, but there's this character and it was he's riding around on this fake horse with this other guy following behind him and they don't have anything. They don't have two nickels to rub together. They've taken charge of themselves. They've taken charge of the situation. They wind up making a difference no matter how silly or weird they are. And it's because they know their power and they don't let anybody push them back. Dogberry doesn't let anybody push him back. He goes forward and does the thing. And as much as delusional as he looks to all the people around him, he succeeds in his endeavor. He knows what it is that he's supposed to be doing, and he doesn't let anything or anybody talk trash to him or push him off his course. It's really this energy. Ka-clock, 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 ka-clock. I just keep hearing it. Maybe you're riding a horse. Maybe you're going to races. I don't know what's going on. Maybe you like horses, but they're galloping. The sound that I'm hearing, they're galloping. Ka-clock, ka-clock, ka-clock. This isn't like they're taking a stroll through the park. Know your power. This is important, especially. So here's on the bottom, the reminder. Act without malice. Act without malice. Be without malice. Okay? This type of energy would love to pull us down so that we feel aggravated, because when we're aggravated, we're vulnerable, we're less sharp, we're not going to be as aware. That's the kind of energies that we need to stay away from. Maybe make the sacrifice to get away from that mindset in general, whoever's carrying it, whatever it's associated with, so that we can get grounded, so that you can remember who you are. Remember who you are. You are a powerful, powerful being with a mission. All right, we're gonna get a god or goddess from the Yggdrasil, and then I'll pull a somatic therapy exercise card, something that we can do to work this out of our bodily system, and that will help us. Peace and counsel. Look, Nerthus and Odin. I opened it to omniscient wisdom, poetry, and language. Peace and counsel. The inward feminine. Peace and counsel, feeling peaceful and taking your own counsel, really giving yourself the chance to listen to what it is that you have to say. Odin, wisdom, right? Omniscient, language, how are we communicating? All right, ancestors, spirits, guides. Oh, from the Yggdrasil, help our collective today. Tyr, and Frey, listen. This is about like not backing down, not being pushed over, and at the same time not letting it push you into a space where you're the aggressor or where you're angry, right? Act without malice. This is like what is it, jinjitsu, where it's like the force, just like letting the force of the opponent work against themselves. So you're just like that kind of a thing. Conflict, again, counsel, justice. Tyr is the divine masculine warrior, right? Conflict and counsel. Like, how do we resolve these types of conflicts? What's happening there? And when we, again, center ourselves, allow ourselves to be firm and flexible at the same time, and kind of like dodge those shots coming at us, right? New beginnings and spring, we get Frey. And that's absolutely beautiful. And that could also be giving us a bit of a time span here. But I'm also thinking, like, with these pentacles in the reverse, this Queen of Pentacles in the reverse, there could have been some things that need to be taken care of. There could even be, like, for some, not all, take it how it resonates, but like a legal component to it, papers that need to be signed, things that need to be worked out. Make sure that you are fully aware of any contracts that you're entering into at this time. And anything that, if somebody's trying to like elbow their way through something, just don't let them get to you. And you're like, what are you doing, man? Right? Act without malice. Like, don't let them provoke you into misbehaving. That's what I'm hearing. And then we have the new beginnings. So I'm going to look up Tyr. Almost there. This is the first sentence of this because we've got all these twos out, right? Yeah. Two of Cups, Two of Pentacles, Knight of Cups, right? Tyr is the most solitary of the gods. He has no family to speak of. He is the son of the giant Hymnir, but he belongs to Odin in Asgard, even as he is placed in Jotunheimr. Tyr is the only god that can restrain the great Fenrir in Asgard. And he sacrificed his right arm while tethering the giant wolf. So it's like that was wreaking havoc in Asgard, brought home by Loki from one of his adventures. Later, the beast becomes a key figure in Ragnarok, and he is freed once more and ends up overcoming and devouring Odin. So that's Fenrir. Okay, like... Until Ragnarok, Tyr is the only one that can contain him. So in a sense, he holds Ragnarok back. Tyr is the guardian of order. He brings order to chaos, which is the most prominent quality. He is the god of parliament and of justice, but he is also associated with magic, and his rune, the T rune of the Futhark alphabet, which is the magical one. It is carved by Vikings into their weapons, applying faith for victory upon them. It is good to call on Tyr in matters of injustice and battle of any sort, but be it a personal or public disagreement, Tyr can also be called on for clarity and decision making. Those elements he brings on the spread, and none other than Muspel himself can influence him or lessen his attributes. Odin strengthens him when we had Odin. Odin strengthens him. He is one of Odin's warriors in the great battle and plays an important role. If Hirokin shows up in the spread with Tyr, the aspect of decision making is emphasized in the spread, but that is not. But again, like there is this decision making, right? Two. The need for clear decision on a matter at hand is called for. So that's crazy because we get the sacrifice card, and I'm not. Please, I mean, be aware of what this is, right? Like what it is that you're giving up in exchange for something. Odin gave his eye, and I'm not. Please don't, like, these are metaphors of stories. I'm not telling you to like actually go out and give of yourself in that way, but it is telling you to give of yourself, right? And that sometimes compromises needed to be made in order for them to succeed in some way. So he had to give his arm to beat the wolf, right? To wrangle in that wolf. Odin gave his eye for those Futhark runes, for the alphabet, for knowledge. He hung from the Yggdrasil for 9 days upside down, and that sacrifice that he made, he was rewarded with internal knowing and omniscience, right? So it's like, what is that? What is that? What is that exchange? And then I'm starting to see these. You know how sometimes like deaf people can see better, sometimes blind people can hear better, right? They've had to sharpen other senses to help cover the bases, you know. All right, this is a very crazy, interesting reading. I hope you guys are getting something out of this. Ringing for you, hit the like button. So I know this is the somatic therapy exercise cards given to the channel by a beautiful, beautiful, wonderful gazer, one of my favorite people on the planet. Kelly, I love you. And so thank you so much for these because they make a huge difference. So what can the collective watching today, what type of exercise can we do? What type of physical thing can we do to help center us and get us through this situation with clarity? Body scan. Wow. Talking about like where that cortisol is stuck, where those spaces are stuck, where our fascia is twisty. Take a body scan. A body scan is a mindfulness practice where you systematically focus your attention on different parts of your body, usually from head to toe or vice versa. This practice helps to increase awareness of bodily sensations, release tension, and promote relaxation. Wow. And I'm starting at the toes. And then my friend yesterday was talking about how, like, because we've all had these, she and I and a couple other of us have had these ankle injuries. And she's like, you're supposed to write the alphabet with your foot. Like, A, B, C, like that, and that helps. So, and I've been doing it, and it's actually quite nice. You know, take your time with it. Do what you can. Don't push your body. You're just like snapping. All right. So again, the joy of movement. Be comfortable in your body, listening to your body, listening to the messages. Here's how to do it. Sit or lie down comfortably. Close your eyes if needed. Choose your starting point, head or feet. Take deep breaths to center yourself. Focus on your chosen starting point. Notice sensations like warmth or tension. Move your attention through each body part, ascending or descending. Observe sensations without judgment. Tension, relaxation, warmth. Breathe into areas of tension, releasing with each exhale. Stay present, gently redirecting focus in your mind if your mind wanders. Complete the scan, focusing on each body part. Reflect on changes in sensations, emotions, or overall state. Incorporate body scanning into your routine for relaxation and stress relief, right? Know thyself. Know thyself. That's how we get to know ourselves. Do a body scan. And you don't have to be laying on the floor if that's difficult for you or it's unavailable. You could do a body scan sitting. You could do a body scan standing, right? If you're waiting in a long line, you could do like a real quick, like, like what's going on in my body right now. And notice those spaces, notice those places. You're feeling a lot of tension here. You're feeling a little slouched over. You know what I mean? Your body wants to tell you things about what's going on. The body is intelligent, right? Like it knows. So listen to it. And know that all is working out for your highest and greatest good. Never, ever, ever forget that. Okay? Never, ever, ever forget that, because you are the master of your own power. It's about staying in that grounded space, being grounded so that you can gallop, right? All right. I hope that was helpful. I hope that you got something out of it. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for remembering to hit like and subscribe if this did resonate with you, because it really does help the channel and I really do appreciate it a lot. And thank you for coming back and visiting us again next time. Bye.
Transformation in 3, 2, 1.